Let's be honest and let's be uncomfortable, because this is the idea that Arsenal can't handle the pressure. It's lazy, it's wrong, and it ignores something right in front of our faces. Arsenal don't fear pressure, they fear expectation. Think about it just for a minute. In cup competitions, Arsenal are brave, front-footed, and aggressive. The players take risks. The crowd rules mistakes away. It's win tonight or go home. It's simple, brutal, but freeing. But in the league, every game comes with a spreadsheet, a table, a narrative, a what if. And suddenly, the same players hesitate. Shots get snatched, passes get forced, control disappears. That's not fear of the moment. That is fear of the consequence. I'll have a quick drink. Thank you. Cup pressure is sharp. League pressure is suffocating. And let's be honest, right now, Arsenal play better when the pressure is clear, immediate, and honest. Not stretched across 9 months of expectation and noise. So, tonight, I'm asking the question nobody really wants to ask. That is, are Arsenal actually built better for cups than title races? Or is it this is the final mental step we still have to take? Let's talk about it. If you're tired of shouty fan channels and lazy agendas, you're in the right place. This is brutally honest Arsenal debate, but it's done with respect. We challenge ideas, not we argue the point, not the person. So, if you love proper football conversation, real fan perspectives, and a community that can disagree without falling apart, like the video. Subscribe to the channel and get involved in the comments. This is in the North Bank. Different opinions, one club, one community, up the Arsenal. Let's be honest. Arsenal are a team of imposters. Let that sink in a minute. It's not because they lack talent, but it is because the team that shows up on the Champions League night is a completely different beast to the one that crumbles in the Premier League. One is a world beater, the other is its own worst enemy. And today, we're going to prove it. Arsenal is a paradox. In a one-off cup tie, they can look like they can dismantle in Europe. We've all seen it. A thrilling run to the Champions League semi-finals, dispatching giants along the way. Deep runs into the domestic cups, full of flair and fight. In those moments, they look like one of the most complete teams in the world, a machine built for glory. But then there's the league. Over the 38-game marathon of the Premier League, the same old cracks start to show. The same vulnerabilities get ruthlessly exposed. Week after week, a comfortable spot at the top of the table can feel secure one moment, and then suddenly fragile after just 90 minutes of a familiar feeling collapse. What is it about the relentless grind of a league that exposes the fundamental weaknesses in Arsenal's DNA that the glamour and high stakes of the cup seem to hide so well? This isn't just about dropping points, it's about how they drop them. It's about a pattern that separates the team that lifts trophies in May from the one left asking, what if? In this video, I'm going to dissect this Jekyll and Hyde performance. We'll use Arsenal's devastating 3-2 home defeat to Manchester United as a perfect case study for their league fragility, before looking on at why those same frailties just seem to vanish on the big cup night. We're breaking down the tactical, structural and psychological reasons for this strange split personality. This is a story of two Arsenals, the knockout kings and the league contenders who just can't seem to get out of their way. To understand Arsenal's league problem, you don't need to look at a decade's worth of spreadsheets. You just need to watch the 90 minutes that unfolded at the Emirates against Man United on the weekend. The context was huge. Arsenal were flying, sitting near the top of the table with the pressure of a real title race mounting. Their fortress, the Emirates, had been a bastion of consistency, but the league doesn't care about past form. It just keeps throwing tests at you. And with the title rivals winning early in the day, the pressure was suffocating. The stage was set for a statement win against a rival. Instead, it was set for a classic Arsenal league collapse. The match against United wasn't some tactical masterclass from the opposition that left Arsenal clueless. No, this was a story of self-destruction, a textbook example of how Arsenal's own weaknesses can bubble to the surface when the league pressure is on. It was a 3-2 defeat that felt both shocking and depressingly familiar, a little bit familiar. I'll take a quick drink and then we'll get straight back into it. Sorry about this. The game started like so many Arsenal home games do. With control and early pressure, we looked comfortable, probing United's defence, and in the 29th minute, that pressure paid off. Well worked ball into Martin Odegaard, scuff shot that led to a frantic scramble in the box, and the ball deflected in for an unfortunate own goal. 1-0 to the Arsenal. On the surface, it was a deserved lead from their incredible set pieces and constant pressure. Weapons that have been honed to make Arsenal one of the most potent teams in Europe. In that moment of celebration, though, lies the first subtle clue. There is a reliance on set pieces and moments of fortune that can sometimes mask issues in open play creativity. The goal came, but it wasn't from a moment of incisive, dominant attacking play. It was chaotic, and it gave a false sense of security. This is where the league is so different from a cup tie. In a knockout game, a scrappy goal is a golden ticket. You can take it and run. In the league, however, it's just a moment in a 38-game story, and underlying patterns are always a way of coming to bite you. Just 8 minutes later, they did. In the 37th minute, the first critical error arrived. One of Arsenal's key midfielders, a player signed for his composure, got the ball deep in his own half under minimal pressure. He turned and played what can only be described as a horror back pass. It was underhit, telegraphed, and a gift-wrapped invitation. United's forward and Bramo pounced on it, rounded the keeper and slotted it into an empty net. This wasn't a goal conceded because of a tactical mismatch. It was a self-inflicted wound, a moment of individual failure that completely changed the game's complexion. It's a kind of mistake that the relentless weekly scrutiny of the league blows up. One lapse in concentration and your advantage is gone. After that goal, a hesitancy spread through the team like a virus. That's the contagion of league pressure. One player's mistake created doubt in the other 10. Passes became safer, runs became less ambitious, and the collective confidence visibly drained away. Gabriel Jesus found himself more and more isolated, starved of the service he'd been getting just 20 minutes earlier. Half-time was a chance to reset, but the second half began with a horrible sense of déjà vu. 5 minutes after reset, there's a loose ball near the Arsenal box, a 50-50 challenge that demands decisiveness, and again, Zubimendi, the same midfielder, and again he hesitates. That split second of indecision was all it took. And Patrick Dougall seized the opportunity, won the draw, and smashed the ball into the net. 2-1 to the visitors. The same flaw, a lack of conviction under pressure, leading directly to another goal. But this is Arsenal's team's story is never, ever simple. Their quality is just too high for them to fold completely. They pushed for an equaliser. In the 84th minute, they found one, and it came from a corner. A scramble in the box, and Marino tapped in. The Emirates are up, so it's a moment of pure relief and another testament to their incredible strength from dead ball situations. That strength is a massive credit to the coaching staff, but it can also be a crutch. Papers over the cracks of their struggles in open play when the pressure is truly on. For the second time in the match, a set piece had bailed them out. But the league marathon had one final cruel lesson to teach. It's not over till it's over. Just 3 minutes after rescuing a point, disaster struck again. In the 87th minute, with Arsenal perhaps pushing too eagerly for a winner, Madueke receives the ball, heavy touch, and the ball goes out. United were quick to restart and get the ball forward. Unfortunately, Mikel Merino is too weak in the challenge and is bundled over. And the ball breaks to Manchester United's Matheus Cunha. He's on the edge of the area and he curls a shot around Gabriel. Such a precise finish. He found the bottom corner. 3-2. Silence at the Emirates. The formidable home record was gone. The title race was blown wide open. This final goal captures the other major weakness the league exposes: a vulnerability to the counter-attack. Arsenal's system is built on dominance, high defensive line, and suffocating possession. When it works, it's beautiful. But the risk is the ocean of space it leaves behind. In the league, where teams have all season to study you, that vulnerability can be targeted. Manchester United did exactly that. They absorbed the pressure, waited for the mistakes, and punished them ruthlessly. This loss was a microcosm of Arsenal's league struggles, a reliance on set pieces, catastrophic individual errors under pressure, a visible drop in confidence, and a fatal weakness to a fast break. So we've broken down how the league ruthlessly exposes these cracks in Arsenal's armour. But that brings us to the big question, doesn't it? If these weaknesses are so fundamental, why do they seem to magically disappear when the Champions League anthem plays, or the FA Cup comes around, or the League Cup comes around? We're about to get right into that now. But if you're getting something out of this tactical analysis, do me a solid. Hit that subscribe button. Give the video a thumbs up. It really helps the channel out, and make sure you won't miss out on future breakdowns. So, if the league is a harsh, unflattering spotlight, then the cup competitions are a masterful disguise. On the grandest of stages in Europe and in the knockout rounds of domestic tournaments, a different Arsenal shows up. This Arsenal is bold, resilient, and clinical. The hesitancy we saw against United is replaced with swagger. The fragility is replaced by a steely-eyed focus. So why? How do the unique conditions of the cup football hide the very weaknesses the league so painfully exposes? Let's start with the pinnacle, the Champions League. This season and last, Arsenal's European campaign has and was breathtaking. Their run was built on a series of stunning victories against Europe's elite, including an incredible 4-0 dismantling of Atletico Madrid, and last season a monumental 5-1 aggregate victory over Real Madrid. To beat the club of that stature with that history over 2 legs is a massive statement. So what was different? Why could this team dismantle Real Madrid but falter at home to Manchester United? A key factor is the opponent's style. Unlike many Premier League teams who sit deep in a deep disciplined block, Europe's top clubs often play a more open, expansive game. They come to win. This plays right into Arsenal's hands. Our system thrives where there's space to exploit. When a team like Real Madrid tries to go toe-to-toe, it allows Arsenal's fluid attack to shine. The end-to-end nature of a game means their technical quality is often the decisive factor. Their ultimate loss in the semi-final to the PSG suggests that they can still be vulnerable against an elite team that is disciplined enough to exploit those transitional weaknesses. But the overall campaign was that of a team perfectly suited for knockout football. This pattern isn't just confined to the Champions League. You see it in the domestic cups too, where squad rotation becomes a strategic advantage. The league's relentless schedule demands consistency, which leads to fatigue. In the cups, however, rotation isn't a weakness, it's a strength. Key players get a rest while offering valuable minutes to emerging talents and trusted squad players. This keeps the core team fresh for the big league games and builds confidence throughout the entire squad, a luxury the weekly grind of the league just doesn't allow. And this brings us to the psychological shift. In the league, the weight of a 38-game campaign, the memory of a past mistake, the fear of dropping points, it all creates a pressure that can lead to indecision. However, in the cup, it's a clean slate. It's a one-off game where heroism is possible. A player who made a costly mistake in a league game can step up in a crucial cup tie and be the hero. He isn't carrying the baggage of the title race. He is focused only on the 90 minutes in front of him. This is the cup paradox. It empowers individual brilliance with the pressure of slightly different from a tight league game. Attacking players feel more licensed to take risks, to try that audacious dribble or that speculative shot. They can play unshackled with a joy and freedom that the knockout format encourages. Stark contrast to the image of an isolated striker in a tense league match. When you piece it all together, it's clear why the cups act as a cloak. The do-or-die focus eliminates the cognitive, psychological burden of a league season, and the format allows for a strategic rotation and moments of individual redemption. Cup environment doesn't fix Arsenal's weaknesses, but it creates a context where they are far less likely likely to be exposed. We've established what that Arsenal are, a different beast in the league versus the cups, but the most important question is why. The answer isn't a single flaw, it's a complex mix of tactical philosophy, squad construction, and deep-seated psychology. First and foremost, it's tactical. Mikel Arteta has implemented a distinct, high-risk, high-reward system. It's built on overwhelming possession and defensive line to compress the pitch when it's firing. It's devastating, as we see in the cups, against the teams who are willing to engage. However, the Premier League is a unique tactical jungle. On any given weekend, you can face a team that sits in a disciplined, low block for 90 minutes with zero intention of playing expansive football. This is where the risk in Arteta's system becomes a liability. That high defensive line leaves fast open spaces behind it against a team set up purely to defend and counter, like Manchester United were. This is a fatal invitation. League opponents have 8 games to study and prepare. They know if they can frustrate Arsenal and force an error, a single swift counter can be enough to steal a result. The goals United scored weren't just lucky breaks, they were a result of a game plan designed to exploit a known structural vulnerability. The second reason is squad depth and fatigue. The Premier League title isn't won by 11 players. That's a myth. It's won by a squad of 18 to 22. The relentless grind is a war of attrition. Arsenal's first 11 is without question one of the best in Europe, but the league brutally exposes what happens when even one or two of those key cogs are missing or just plain exhausted. Recent signings were a clear attempt to address this historical weakness. However, that United game shows that depth isn't just about having bodies, it's about having players who can maintain the absolute highest level of concentration under the extreme pressures of league football. A momentary lapse is all it takes. The Cups, by contrast, hide these issues beautifully. Key players can be rested during a midweek cup tie and be fresh for the next league game. The 38-game season offers no such luxury. It demands that your backup players can perform at a near identical level week after week. That's a bar that very few squads in history have ever been able to clear. Finally, you have to talk about the pressure. The pressure of a title race is a unique and crushing one. A draw can feel like a loss, a defeat feels like the end of the world. This cumulative pressure is fundamentally different from the explosive one-off pressure of a knockout match. Hearing that your title rivals won their games just before you kick off is a tangible psychological blow. The hesitancy that spread through the team after the first mistake is a classic symptom of a team feeling that way. They start playing not just to win, but to avoid losing. Cup football creates a totally different mentality. It's more like a series of sprints, not a marathon. The mindset is a one-off release, a shot at glory. Encourages risk-taking. A player is more likely to try for a moment of magic, but the consequences of failure are immediate and absolute, not a slow burn erosion of a points lead. These 3 factors, a high-risk system, a test of a squad depth, and a unique psychological burden of a tight race, combine to create the Arsenal paradox. So, we come back to where we started, the paradox of the 2 Arsenals. On one hand, you have the Cup Warriors, a team that can win anywhere in Europe, that navigates knockout rounds with flair and skill, a team that looks like the finished article. This is the Arsenal that would beat Real Madrid, but fought to a Champions League semi-final. This Arsenal gives its fans a tantalising glimpse of glory. And then, on the other hand, you have the league contenders, the team that, under relentless pressure of the Premier League, starts to show cracks, the team that can give up a dominant position at home through self-inflicted wounds where individual hesitancy can become a collective panic. This the Arsenal that lost 3-2 to Manchester United. This Arsenal gives its fans a frustrating sense of deja vu. The truth is, these aren't two different teams. They're the same team, just operating in two vastly different environments. The league, with its 38-game grind and immense psychological weight, is an unforgiving stress test that exposes any weakness without mercy. Their knockout format and focus on one-off brilliance provide a stage where Arsenal's strengths can flourish while their weaknesses are conveniently hidden. For Mikel Arteta and his squad, this is the final frontier. They've proven they can compete with anyone on any given day, but to take that final, most difficult step and lift the Premier League trophy, they have to find a way to bring the conviction and freedom of a Champions League night to a cold afternoon on a Saturday in the league. It's about conquering the mental frailties that the league so ruthlessly exposes. It's about finally turning the paradox of two Arsenals into one single championship winning force. Hi, but what do you think? Do you agree with this analysis? Is this a flaw that can be coached out, or is it just an inherent part of this team's DNA right now? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below, and if you enjoyed this deep dive, make sure you're subscribed. Thanks for watching. I'm Gunner Richie. This is In the North Bank. Thank you for watching, and be safe. Love your family, and come Gunners.